Yeah, so we've come out, it's been a couple weeks since this was finished the first time. You've come out a couple of times and repaired areas, so you've done that, you patched it. But it's always adding on new material. My concern is this is just gonna keep happening. So we're just hosing it off, and it doesn't take much, and you're right back to the original surface.
Really? Does it happen like that everywhere now? Does it happen that way everywhere? That's the question I ask, because some of these places have water. Like this is a drain, and the sprinklers come over here. So and you have that. And when I did it before, temperature always has a bearing on things, and so does water. And so we went through a real cold spell, and then we went through a real wet spell. So you have rain and cold. That makes it tough.
Are you saying you should have waited until I had better weather? Or?
Probably. That's why I came down here. I came down here last Sunday and I did some more work on it, and it was 85, and it was Sunday and nobody was here.
Yeah.
And that was better,
Yeah.
because nobody was here. You saw the tracks I sent you in the email or the text, because, you know, I don't hold anything against anybody, but it's tough to do stuff and you have to keep redoing it. And it wasn't setting because it was cold and it was wet and people were walking through. It's like,
Jeff, I hired you to get a job done. You
Yes,
know
sir.
your material,
Yes,
you
sir.
know
Yes.
what you need to do to make it work.
yes, sir.
And the concern is that I've had you come back, you know, and you've come back and that's good, but the problem is the adhesion to the original, and this is out, it's just a little bit of water, and it's coming up.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, could I shoot it too?
Oh, you can shoot it.
So I don't know what all has been done, so I always like to kind of test it out myself. Let's see. I'm just picking a random spot.
What are you thinking you're testing there?
Well, I'm trying to see if it's coming off.
Well,
And
when
if I'm putting a real blast on that thing, then
when you sold me on this, you said this is like concrete. The only way you're ever going to get off is grind it off.
well, that's true. When temperature is right, but when you have temperature and people walking through it, and water and all that stuff,
It's an outside surface. And this
get it.
isn't even ice. And
I get it. But
So-
if you talk to anybody who does epoxies or any kind of a surface that you put on, if it's wet and cold, you can forget it.
why do you do it then when it's wet and cold?
I thought I could make it work, but it was wet and cold. So what can you do? So I came back and I tried to make it right, and that's basically what I got to do, is make it right. It does stick. We just shot that on there.
To me, that's not a test at all. If we got a pressure washer out or something with real pressure, you said the only way it would come off is grinding off like concrete. And concrete is, you know, this is
I
nothing.
fix concrete all the time. I fix concrete all the time. I fix concrete for Mr. Mud. And they can't come out in the rain when they're cold.
Why did you? That's,
Well, you had a slick surface, and I tried to help you out because your people were falling down, and you had those mats out here, and you said they were falling down. I thought, well, heck, he needs to have traction. So I put it on.
and that's why we hired you. But
Right.
We need it to stick to the
But I
original
can't
surface.
control the weather and the temperature. Here we're in Maine. We're still in the 70s. This is not normal. I can't help that. I mean, I'm thankful that we have rain. I'm thankful that it's cool because we need it. But this isn't normal. Usually this time of year we're parked at the 80s and it's dry. And if we're at the 80s and dry, and I'm predicting, looking at a calendar and saying, oh, this is normal. This isn't normal. I can't help it. So,
I hired you to do a job, to have it stick. You told me what it would do. It's not doing that.
it is sticking in every place except where the water hits.
It's an outside surface. It's going to have water on the whole thing all the time.
But you have to listen to what I'm saying. When you're in the cold and the wet, it has a bearing on adhesion. And when you do it like when I did it on Sunday, man, it bonds. But and I can't control the weather. I can't. Usually I say weather permitting on a lot of the jobs that I do, because
So knowing that you chose to do it even when the weather was bad.
I haven't, neither did you. Because I'm looking at the calendar of this time of year. This time of year it's usually dry and hot. Right? I've lived here most of my life. This time of the year it's dry and hot. Just 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, we had snow in the mountains, which is great. But that's not normal. So, what do? You work with it. You do what you have to do. It's the same thing with this. If there has to be something done on a small area, that's fine. If I need to put some more effort, apply more material, fine.
We've done that 3 times.
And it hasn't stopped your process here.
Yeah, and it's going to, there's no confidence. The whole surface is underneath is just as slick as this one. It was all put down in the same weather. So there's no confidence that this is going to stick.
That was
This area was colder.
Well, yeah, this is all colder. And whenever somebody walks across, when I sent you pictures, people were walking across from here, even though I had it, and you saw this, I had it roped all the way around to that, and then I had it roped here, and then when I did this section here, I roped it down into the doorway, and so I did half the doorway at a time. And even though I had it roped and caution taped, they were still walking right through here. I'm like, ah! So, whenever that happens and I have to keep going and fixing, I try to find all the places where they did it, but
So now you're saying that spot's because somebody stepped there.
I don't know. But I'm saying this is a traffic flow area and people were walking through. I'm not making excuses. I'm just.
Well, that's what I'm hearing.
No, you saw the pictures. Those pictures are not excuses. Those pictures are fact. People were walking through the area where it was taped off with caution tape. How do you stop that?
You work on the weekend, like I told you. I work anytime I'm working in an area that I need to
came back on Sunday.
and I keep control of the area.
Right.
I bring whatever I need to bring. If I need to bring multiple tapes,
Right.
do you not do that on your job?
I did. We had it roped off. This whole thing was all roped off and roped off here, and I had a caution tape there so I could just do this. But they still walk through it. They still walk
Well,
through
in
it.
fairness, I think you act like it was a lot of traffic. It was maybe 1 or 2 people that
Still,
circumvented the
but
thing. We had it roped off really good, like you said.
Yeah.
So really did keep a lot of people off of it.
Did. But I can't
the
help what people do.
1 or 2 people slipping through and going in, I just don't know how much that's going to affect your process. That's
Well,
I'm just saying it wasn't like it was a lot of people.
Well, I know I fixed it at least 10 times. I'm not saying I counted everybody, but I know I fixed it at least 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I have pictures of out here and up over there. So it's like, you just do what you got to do. And I know that you see that as an excuse, but
It is, and
it's not an excuse.
basically you're saying these are the reasons why it's not going to stick.
I never said that one time.
You said because it's wet, because
I
it's
said,
cold.
I
because
said, with ideal
the
conditions,
traffic.
when it's warm and dry, it'll bond. And I have no control over the weather. And this
You
is,
have control over when you work.
but I have no control of the weather. So that would have been, I wouldn't have done anything for you. You had a problem with, you had those mats out here because it was slick.
Yes.
You had a sign here that said slick.
Slippery when wet or
Slick.
icy wet.
Yeah. And you told me you had a big issue.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, I'll try to fix this guy's problem.
Yes,
You
that's
did-
what we wanted you to do.
And give him some non-slip.
Yes.
And so I did. And while I did it, I couldn't control the weather or the temperature. I mean, was it not Saturday before last, we had a big barbecue and rain, snow, hail, cold, 30 a week and a half ago. Come on.
So
Middle of the day.
how long is this supposed to last? I mean,
It'll last for a long time.
this
I've had it last
this
for-
application will last
for a long time. I've had it last for years on people's places. So I can't help the weather, but I can make this work for you. And that's the whole idea. You want it to work, right?
I do,
All
but
right.
given the past number of times you've redid it, and we're not even in bad weather, there's zero confidence. In fact,
We've
every
come through the bad weather. We're going into good
bad
weather.
weather is in the winter when the ice makes the paint come up. That paint was fine all year underwater until the ice came in.
Right.
So we have every reason to believe that with any weather at all, this is just a hose. It's not even a pressure washer. It's coming right off. We have every reason to believe, it's been confirmed, that it's going to come off. And so
Who's confirmed?
the facts have confirmed it.
No.
You said it was
No.
because of cold, because of wet, because of traffic.
But we're moving into warmer weather now. What I've said is I have no control over the weather or the temperature. And I've also said this is not normal weather for this time of year. This time of
And
year.
yet you chose to do the work in those conditions.
But you told me that you had a big problem with slippery, and so I tried to help you out with that. And
So you did it sooner than you knew you should have? Just
in April, it's usually nice. In April, it's usually nice, and that's when I did it.
so
And it got
there's
cold
no
and
confidence
nasty.
this is ever going to stick. It's come off multiple times. It just keeps coming off.
No.
And this is just a little bit of water.
Well, it has bonded in other places for years. So that's all I can say.
So this spot right over here where it came up, right here,
Yeah.
why is it still slick underneath there? Why
It's
is,
still the paint.
but would you apply this? It seems like you'd rough it up or give it a little sanding or something, or make it a little rough so this has some adhesion. Because it seems like it was applied to like a glossy surface, and I'm not an expert at this, but that's what it looks like to me. It's like it was on
Coming
the,
right off.
yeah, it's on the shiny, and so it's not sticking to the shiny surface. And what I'm worried about is for years I've been doing this for 12 years, managing this building, and in the winter when we get snow on here, I have to get the snow shovel out, and I'm shoveling
Scrape it.
and shovel. Yeah, I'm going to be scraping and shoveling snow.
Well,
and
I've done this not with a snow shovel, but I've done this with a steel shovel in the winter on concrete too. And it
Here I
has,
am with my tennis shoes. It's just the hose, and it's coming right off.
But see, that's my question is if I take a snow shovel right now and I come across this and start acting like I'm removing snow, how much of this is going to stay down and how much is going to come up? That was Lee's concern was.
My tennis shoe takes it off. I think a snow shovel's going to take it off. This is a rubber sole tennis shoe.
is that taking it off?
This is the original surface where you started.
And your shoe was taking that off? It looked like that was where it was when I came.
Yeah, it's taking it right off. You want to see more come off? So we can go right here. My shoe, it's a rubber sole. Okay, look at all that sand. Here, we'll just spray it right off. The whole thing will come off. It would come off very easily. Probably with a hose, if not a pressure washer. This was never profiled. This is a super slippery surface, you said. That's why we wanted to do this, because we have a super slippery surface, and we wanted this surface to be traction. The problem is that there's no adhesion between the super slippery surface and the traction, so it's going to come off.
Well, all I know is that it has worked in the past on other areas. On dry roads, it's worked. So, whenever there's been an issue, always, if there's an issue, I always fix it. If I need to do that, I'll fix that. But
The only way this can be fixed right is this surface has to be profiled. It's too slippery. There's no way it's going to stick. You know, I'm going to repaint this, so I brought in materials to profile the surface on. I don't do this for a living, you do, but I'm going to profile it so that my paint has a better chance of sticking. Give it something to adhere to. If this was never profiled, you didn't do anything to make this ready to accept the material so it can't stick. There's only two options I see is give me my money back, I give you half down, or profile it and do it right.
Well, let's come out here and look at this. So I don't, that's a tough call because I don't know what that thing was like before I got it. But this is what we're doing with this right now. And that's the same thing that you were doing, and I'm digging on it pretty hard. You were about the same size as me. I'm not just doing this, I'm digging.
Oh, it's gonna, same thing that's been happening all the other times. It just takes one penetration to the original surface and it all just comes off.
Right, but I tried to make the point that because we have water over here, this was a traffic area, I tried to find all the places where it was walked on, and I granted it wasn't hundreds of people, but it was several. And if I didn't find them all, I didn't find them all.
But you did patch that already, didn't you? That area?
And it's set for weeks.
I had
2 weeks.
I went over that area, yeah, no question about it. But the question I have is this: when you see me digging it on it over here, how come it's not doing that there when it is over there? That's the question I have.
Well,
So to
this spot over here, actually, Lee didn't even see it. He was watering this all down. My wife said she saw a spot over there, and then Lee went over and went like that and started opening it up. That's what started that one over there.
Once it breaks,
Because when we showed up, he was watering this all down, getting the sand off, and then it seems like when the water sits on it for a bit, areas start showing up that where the water has just kind of eroded some of the top, and you can go along and look in different areas, but it has to be wet. Like we had that rainstorm coming through here.
Right.
That's where we're seeing problems, is when the water sits for a bit.
Sure.
It's like soaks on it for a
Okay.
bit.
So can I make a proposal to you? If I go over this thing one more time, fix it, and then we go over, you do your hose thing, and then we'll go from there and see. Give it one more shot, because
if it had one more shot, it'd have to go through a winter. I have no doubts that this is going to all come up. It'll come up in pieces. It's coming up in mild weather with a little bit of water. So you've already done that 3 times. You said 10 times in some areas.
well, right over here when I'm
So
working.
why would I think it would be any different?
Man, don't make it what it isn't. When they're
You're the
walking,
one that said you had done it for 10 times.
when they walk on it.
Why would I think it would be any different? You've
But
done
listen.
this 3 times.
But listen, when I'm doing this out here on those cold days, and they're walking through it, I'm fixing it right when they're here.
Okay.
So they did really have a chance to dry out. And I don't know what that was, but if you let me repair that and then go over it one more time, see what it is, and we'll go from there. But, you know, to say this is a complete wash-up is not correct.
There's every reason to believe this is going to keep coming up. That's all it's done, and the weather's been mild. You said that it was
The
put
weather
on-
hasn't been mild. We've just gone through the
compared to winter, compared to freezing,
We haven't been in the winter, but we've been in the 30s. It's been in the 30s in April.
and it's come up. You've been back 3 times just to repair spots like this.
Well,
It's unreasonable. It's a leap of faith to think somehow miraculously now it's going to stick. It's not sticking. Anytime there's any penetration of any kind, somebody drops something on it and there's a little chip, it's just going to peel off. That's what's happening. It doesn't matter where it is. Once it gets any penetration, it's just going to peel off. We've already proven it. We've spent weeks, and you've been back multiple times.
We have.
Doing it one more time will not change anything.
What I've tried to explain is the fact that we've been in cold weather and wet weather. Okay, it's even cold today. It's only going to be in the 50s. Can't help it. So I'm doing the best I can with the conditions that are in. I tried to give you a non-slip surface a lot, and you had slip.
And if you'd have said, Lee, it's too cold to put this on, I don't have confidence in it, let's wait until it's summer, I'd say, just like my asphalt driveway, we don't touch it until it's 80, 90 and hot. I would have said the same. Let's just wait. You're the expert on this.
Okay.
I hired you to give me a result that you told me what it would be.
Okay.
It's not close.
Well, wait a minute. It's very close. I have spots, and I have no control of that spot. But what I propose is to repair that, maybe go over this thing one more time, and then you test it. It's no cost to you. It's no cost to you. Make it even better than it is now, and then go from there.
How will you solve the adhesion on the original surface?
Well, what happens with when I overlay it, it bonds to that, and it bonds to the surrounding material, so it helps. But the issue is a lot of times when water gets on it, like this drain here, and I can't, and it's cold, can't help that. I've tried to
You're
find.
saying when water gets on it and it's cold.
No, I'm trying to say what I tried to do is find all the areas that were walked on. And that was a walking area.
So now you're saying it's because it was walked on.
I'm saying because I missed it. I must have missed that. So I've tried to find them all, but all I can do is try and make it right.
The only way to make it right is to get, this is too slippery, Jack. You said yourself, it's just not,
I'm saying this, do it one more time, come out here and blast it with a hose. If it doesn't work, we'll go from there.
what will we do then if it doesn't work?
We'll go from there. We'll make sure that,
What does that mean?
it means that I put a lot of work into this dang thing. And if it works, it works.
And if it doesn't?
Well, if it doesn't, then we're going to have to make recommendations, reconciliations. But
What would that be?
there's going to have to be something put in here for cost of material and that kind of thing. There has to be. Because I put a lot into this thing.
I don't deny the work you've done,
Right.
and I appreciate you've come back. The problem is the original, it's not adhering. It's not going to adhere long term. Even this right away is coming up way too fast, way too easy. Maybe this is slicker than you're used to. Maybe if it was original concrete,
We keep
but it
going back to
wasn't.
the same thing, and you keep going back to the same thing, and I keep going back to the
And
same
what am I going back to? I'll
We're
make
going
sure.
back to that this isn't working because it's not cold, or because it's cold and it's outside, it's supposed to work.
You brought up all the cold and those.
I don't think he's saying it's because it's cold. He's saying that because the surface was slick,
Right.
it's not adhering to it. It has nothing to do with weather. You're the one saying weather.
Weather and traffic. Right.
Yeah, we're just saying that in some of
pretty
these
clear.
some of these spots, it looks like it's not adhering to the original surface.
Right.
We had two coats of glossy paint on that surface. It wasn't just going to concrete; it was going on top of a glossy paint. So that
Which is
paint.
why we had you come. You knew that. That's why it was slippery. It was too slippery. So you were trying to put this on a super slick surface, and that's why it's not adhering. It should have been profiled. Somehow that surface should have been prepared to receive this. I regret it's a lot of work. It's been a lot of pain for me as well.
Well, right. And what I came over here and tried to do is show what happened when you have abuse as well here or wherever else. It could be here.
Anytime the surface is penetrated, it's going to come off.
Well, the point I want to make is this. Let me fix this one more time. One more time. It's no cost to you. My goal is to make you happy, and is to solve and to resolve your problem. So let me try it one more time, and that way you can decide after that what we're gonna do, what you wanna do, and I acknowledge that it's the way to go. So if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to do that too.
And if it doesn't work, what are we doing?
Right. Well, there needs to be some kind of reconciliation for cost of material, but yeah,
What's the cost of material?
a refund would be material and labor, but the refund, yeah, I'll give you I'll give you a refund back. I'll give you a portion. We'll decide on a portion. But I want to make this work first.
Yeah, I wish it would. I really do.
Yeah, I know you do. I want it to work too, but can't help it. The weather is what the weather was. I did it at a time of the year when you can track when it's good and when I can start working, and that's when I start working, is in April. And you know what happened. I can't help it. So I'll do that. I'll take care of this for you and I'll make it right.
Well, yeah, it's, unless you're taking the surface off, we're not changing anything. So you're
We
gonna go
are.
over and do what you did before, and then there'll be
If it
another
does,
spot.
if it doesn't work, then we'll be done, and I'll give you some money back, and we'll go from there. But I'm saying, give it one more try.
Okay, how much money?
Well, I'll have to figure out what my time is into this thing, but yeah, I'll refund you some money, and you'll still have this. So I'm gonna bet you don't take it off. So
Once it gets to the point where it's looking bad, then we're gonna have to take it off and profile it and do it right.
okay,
It's just a matter of time. I mean, I don't know if it'll make it through a winter.
we'll see about that, but we'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and do it again and make sure it's on there and it's solid, and there you go.
Okay, well, I guess we're done then for today.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know how a miracle's gonna happen and the rest of it's gonna adhere.
doesn't have to be a miracle, just has to be a little warmer.
How much time would go by, do you think, before everybody, you and Lee, have confidence that it's working? Like 30 days, 60 days,
Yeah.
3 months?
I mean,
Uh,
I mean that's fine.
I'm just saying, if we
you
watch
wanna-
it over time and we see spots like this developing,
I wouldn't
then
have any confidence until we went through a winter. No way.
A whole
It's coming
year?
up through a winter when it's freezing. You said cold and wet are problems. This hasn't been, yes, in the spring it's colder than normal. We have our weather forecast so we can gauge
Right,
it.
right.
But in the winter, when this paint was fine underwater all year until the winter when it got really cold and it came right off. The same thing's gonna happen here. It's coming off now.
Well, again, I don't know what happens, but with traffic and that kind of stuff.
The surface is just too slippery. It's just super slippery.
So I'll come back and do this, and you want to say 30 days? You want to look
No
at it
way. No, it has to be, for me to have any confidence, it'd be through winter.
for another year?
Through the winter.
Okay. Well,
that would be fair. If it makes it through the winter, then he pays you for the job that you did. I mean, that seems like it'd be okay, but
We've done this
I
3
don't know.
times. Every time something comes up, it's gonna come up again. All you do is get a little wet, wait a little while, it'll come up.
okay. Well,
This is the third time, so it's not gonna change anything. If we just go around, you'll find other spots that'll come up. So this might be one here. And there it is, it just starts coming up. But you don't have to try hard. So there's another one. And I have a plastic one, a rubber sole. It's not gonna change, Jeff.
well, I'll just do it again, and we'll see.
But
And you can put your time on it and make sure that it's, whatever you want
And
to
so
say.
after that, and we do this, and you see that, then you're giving me back some money,
Yeah,
okay?
I will.
How much?
I will. Well, let me figure it up.
Okay,
Let me figure it up. That's fair.
okay.
And that way you can do that.
Yeah, I wish it would have worked like we wanted it to, like
Right,
you said it would.
right.
It's not.